Hello guys and welcome back to a new video. If you will enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and share your thoughts in the comments to help me boost this video. Thanks. Story 1. The dumbest conversation I've ever had with a customer. This happened 2 days ago. I work at an archery store, but I can imagine not many people understand the jargon, so I figured I'd swap the language to something more people would understand: cars. A level of stupidity is the same though, so here's the conversation. Idiot, hi, what's the difference between a Kia Rio and a Nissan Sport? Not sure what you mean. Sport is the features of the car. What Nissan are you looking at? Idiot, I don't know. It just says Sport. It's a Nissan. Sport is the features. For example, you can have a Nissan X-Trail and a Nissan X-Trail Sport. They're the same car, but the Sport model comes with extra features. It's not a model itself. Idiot, oh okay, that makes sense. So what's the difference between them? Between what? Idiot, the Kia Rio and Nissan Sport. Facepalm, that's not a car. Idiot, but it just says Sport. What's the word in front of Sport? Idiot, Juke. Facepalm, so it's a Nissan Juke. Idiot, I guess so, yeah. What's the difference? Fuel efficiency. Idiot, what does that mean? It means that the Rio goes further with the same amount of fuel. Idiot, I don't get it. What does that mean? Facepalm, okay. Let's say both cars have 10 liters of fuel. The Rio goes 8 kilometers for every liter of fuel. The Juke goes 7 kilometers. So if they both had 10 liters, the Rio would travel 80 kilometers and the Juke only 70. Idiot. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So if the Rio goes 8 kilometers with 1 liter of fuel, how far does it go with 1 liter of fuel? 0.8 kilometers. Idiot. Oh, okay, thanks. That makes sense, I guess. I'll get that one. Thanks, hangs up. I couldn't believe that was an actual conversation. I've never spoken to someone that asked such stupid questions directly after getting the answer. An hour later, I saw his order come through. He purchased a bow that wasn't even one of the 2 bows he asked about. The next day, he called and asked my colleague to cancel the order and swap him to a 4th bow. Today, he called and I picked up, and he asked me to cancel the 4th bow so he could swap to a 5th or 6th one. He said some incredibly stupid things on the phone call I just had with him, but for brevity, I'll leave it there. If I think about it much more, I'll cry. P.S. Before anyone says anything, I made up the fuel efficiency and Sport tag. I'm not sure if the Nissan X-Trail Sport is a thing, but I know that cars have tags like that. I just didn't want to put more thought into it than I had to, since it was just a stand-in for the archery jargon. Story 2. I insist you double-check the price. This is a story that happened many years ago when I worked at a bookstore. For some backstory, in the US, most items sold have a UPC Universal Product Code barcode. Books, however, generally use the International and European Article Number barcode. Nowadays, most books use the same 13-digit number for ISBN used to assign a unique identifier to books even before computerized POS and barcodes were a thing. An IAN. But back when ISBNs were only 10 digits, the main benefit of using an IAN instead of a UPC on books was that IAN standards allow an additional 5-digit number to encode the price. You can flip over most books and see there will be 2 barcodes, with the one on the right being shorter. The first digit is the currency, and the next 4 is the price, assuming 2 decimal places. So for example, 50,599 is USD $5.99. 11,200 is GBP 12 pounds. I don't know if this is still the case, but when this happened at the bookstore where I worked, when you scanned a book with an IAN 5 price code, the encoded price overrode whatever the price in the system was. This is useful because, assuming the barcode is done correctly, the price printed on the book will always ring up even if the inventory system has an older price. So on this day, a gentleman comes to my register with 2 books, 1 large art book and 1 paperback novel. I scan both and tell him his total is $47.99. Customer, are you sure? Double-checking the 2 titles listed on my screen match what's in front of me, yes. Customer, I don't think that's correct. Turning screen to face him here. A visual study of farts is $40. And Stephen King Bad Ending number 843 is $7. $4.99. Customer, check the books. I turn the books around and look at the barcode area. Most books have the price printed near there, but some hardcovers only have it on the inside flap. When encountering books like that, I had become used to just looking at the string of numbers printed above the Ian 5 instead of opening the book. Sure enough, the novel said $7.99. And while the art book didn't have a price, the numbers said 54,000, which I knew to mean $40. They look correct to me. Customer, I insist you double-check the price inside a visual study of farts. I sigh, flip the book over the right way, and open the cover. My eyes bulged out as I read the tiny print on the inside of the dust jacket. United States $400, Canada $460. Of course, I apologized profusely and thanked him for pointing that out. I deleted the scanned item, covered the Ian 5 with my finger, and scanned it again. With only the Ian 13 being scanned, the POS rang it at the listed price of $400. After we completed the transaction, with various apologies and expressions of gratitude on my part, I got my mod, who went up to the art section to sticker over the barcode of the remaining copies and submit a misprint form to the publisher. Story 3. And doesn't understand how public toilets work. A little while back I was in work, and it was a particularly busy day, so I was rushing a bit. I walked past a very flustered-looking man standing next to another man in a wheelchair. Both of them were outside the toilets. Just for context, the main toilets have multiple cubicles, but there is also a disabled toilet which is separate. I walked past them in a hurry, and as I got probably a few feet past them, the flustered-looking man says, "Excuse me." He sounded really irritated, so I flinched and wished I was anywhere else, but I still turned around with a big smile on my face and said, "Yes, can I help you, sir?" He responds, still sounding just as belligerent, "The door for the disabled toilet won't open." Now, I'm already internally rolling my eyes, because he's talking to me like I'm the one who has personally locked or broken the door, and also like he is definitely expecting me to be able to instantly fix it. I don't say anything, but I go to have a look at the door. He's still talking behind me, saying, "I've been trying, and it won't open." I look at the door, and now it becomes really difficult not to react. A little indicator on the door is red, indicating that the toilet is occupied. I turn back to him and say, "Sir, the toilet is occupied. See the little red thing?" He stares at it in silence for a moment, and then actually says this sentence to me. Well, what am I supposed to do with that? How long are they going to be? I was honestly just lost for words at this point. After a few seconds of silence, I just said, "I'm not really sure what to suggest, sir." He then has the audacity to roll his eyes at me and then be like, "Ugh, fine." Honestly, one of the weirdest discussions I've ever had, in 5 minutes of my life I'm never getting back. Story 4. Customer berates me during traumatic night shift. TW, def. This happened during my shift on New Year's Eve. It was already quite crowded, and to make matters worse, I was on the express lane. For the first 20 minutes of my shift, I was going through the motions as per usual. And that day, I was in a relatively good mood, so I was extra friendly to customers. However, this all changed when people started screaming in the pharmacy for medics. And when I looked over, I saw an older gentleman who was the manager of the bakery department collapsed and people surrounding him, taking turns doing CPR. It was shocking, horrifying, and scary. It was one of those things where you knew what you were seeing, but you couldn't quite process it or look away. So, all while that was happening, and police, paramedics, and firefighters were going in to deal with the situation, I continued checking people out and trying to keep my composure in an obviously extremely stressful and scary situation. However, I was notified that after an hour, he had passed away. I was shocked, mortified, and felt so sick to my stomach to the point where I could throw up right there because, mind you, I've experienced losing people, but I've never watched somebody die right there in front of me. This is where the customers come into the picture. As I was attempting to process the fact that I had once again just watched a man die, my lane began to get extremely swamped, which stressed me out, and I wasn't in the mood to really be there. I get an older woman who has a gift card to scan. And when I type in the code for the gift card, it processes it as a complete cash order. The woman begins to get snappy, angry, and asks me to fix it, but I genuinely couldn't do so because I don't have the authority to. I tell her this, she gets angrier, and the man behind her, who is also older, steps in, continuing to berate me and telling me about how I should lose my job because I'm unprofessional and don't know what I'm doing. They get the cash manager and continue to complain. The cash manager ends up solving the issue, confirming that it's a tech error, talks to the woman about what had just happened, and the woman feels ashamed of herself. She then proceeded to apologize to me and gave me a pat on the back before wishing me a good night and leaving. Story 5. Apparently, I was in 2 states at once and promised someone free shipping. As the title dictates, this just happened. This is the first day I am at work this week. I was in a different state altogether. Phone rings. I pick it up. Me, thank you for calling Store X. How can I help? Customer, yes, so I talked to you yesterday about an order I placed that I need overnight for free. I need it by this Friday. I was promised it would get here today. He went on a while, and I felt correcting him was more trouble than it was worth. Do you have the order number, sir? I'll take a look and check with my boss. He gives me the order number. I look it up. It says label was created, but there's no additional info. Our shipping guy just picked up outgoing packages, so it's likely en route. I check with my boss, who sees the order placed yesterday, and the customer was not charged shipping despite it being multiple states away. So I go back to the phone, but he hung up. He calls back shortly later. I tell him what I know, and he exasperatedly says it's not what I promised him and hangs up in a huff. Thought it would end there. Rango. I explained what happened to my boss and how the guy was jerk. Boss took my side and was just as confused because he wasn't here yesterday. I happened to be away from the desk fulfilling another order. Boss happens to be closer to the phone and picks up. Thank God, it was customer X's disgruntled spouse. My boss handled the rest and said she was really trying to make him feel guilty. She kept saying, well, you promised, he was promised, etc. Manager said he would look into it and call ended. The absolutely audacity. The items desperately needed were a hat and a shirt. Story 6. The most ridiculous return. This happened when things were really picking up during seasonal time, and it was just me, a cashier, and my manager on duty mod. Since the store I worked at needed to always have a worker on the sales floor, I was left to deal with a steady line by myself. This was not too bad. I just apologized we're unstaffed, and thanked them for waiting. That was until this lady came up with a long receipt. She told me she bought a bunch of t-shirts, and she wants to return them and apply her teacher discount on it. The store I work at has special discounts, and a discount for teachers is one of them. I was looking if she had a bag or anything, and then asked her if she had the shirts with her, and she said no, they're all at her house. Now I can still do a return since she has the receipt, and all she is doing is applying her discount on it. But since she doesn't have the shirts, and the way our system works, I'll have to key in each UPC code for each shirt. Luckily, I could make it go faster by grouping the same codes for shirts together, but it was still a long receipt with probably 20-30 shirts. And mind you, the line was piling up, so I radio my mod and ask her, is there an easier way I can do this, explaining the situation, and my mod said sadly that is the only way to do it. So I warn the customer that I have to key in all these UPC codes to do a return on the shirts, and then they will have to be repurchased. And she said fine, okay. The line was getting so long that my mod decided to just screw it and jump on a register because this return and repurchase will take forever. So this is how the ensuing nightmare return went. Customer will be C and I am me. Me starting to key in UPCS and using my quantity code to make it faster for the same size and color of shirts she bought. See, so how long is this going to take? I'm in a rush. Do you really have to key all those in? Me, yes, since you don't have the shirts here for me to actually scan, sadly, I have to type in all the codes for them. See, and how do I repurchase them? Do you have to do all that again? Me, yes, I do, sadly. At this time, she was getting very irritable, and it was actually time for me to go since the closing crew had arrived. But we're jumping on other registers to get the line taken care of so my mod can get off the register. I asked if someone could take over, but all the closers were new hire seasonal people, and they had no clue how to do a return like this, so I had to truck on. See, getting frustrated, I don't have all day to stand here for you to have you to put in all these codes. When I go to, they can do returns without having to have the product physically there, and not dragging all these shirts around with me. Lee gets on radio mod, can you come here? Laid walks over, what's up? See, I don't have all day for her to be putting in all these codes just so I can get my discount applied on them. I don't drag my shirts around with me, I have them at home. I'm in a hurry, I can't stand here all day wasting my time with this. Odd, since you don't have the shirts here for her to scan, this is the only way she can do it. Also, she has to go home. Turns to me, what did you get keyed in? Lee, anything I have highlighted here is have keyed in. Hands mod the customer's receipt and quickly leave to clock out. Felt bad my mod had to deal with this return, but I was fighting back to say, well, we're not. Also, I don't know why you would make yourself pressed for time when you're returning a crap ton of product. And don't bother brining the product in to make it easier. Even just bringing one of each shirt she bought would have been easier. Story 7. I want the cheaper doormat, so I will pick up the more expensive mat and get mad that it's not the same price as the cheap one. I was working my regular shift when a customer asked me about the pricing of some doormats. Fair enough, as I saw they were all over the place, so it was hard to match them to the correct labels. I scan each mat, so I'm able to match it up and tell them the price of each mat. I also organized them back to how they should be so the labels matched. We only had 2 different brands in, the store's own brand, and a separate brand where all designs were £5. The store's own brand was £12. I explained that this one stack of mats was £12 and that the rest on the shelves were £5. They obviously wanted the cheaper ones, so I made sure that it was clear they knew what ones were what. Happy with that, I left them and carried on with my other work. About 20 minutes later, I hear my name called over the tannoy to come to the front desk. Turns out, these customers that wanted the £5 mat decided they wanted to only pay £5, but they wanted the £12 mat. So they picked that up and were shocked when it came to, guess what? £12. So much so that they took it to customer services to get to the bottom of this mystery. They basically said I had lied to them about the price of the mat when I hadn't. Why on earth would I lie about that? There literally were doormats there that cost £5 right there if they wanted to only pay £5. I'm pretty sure it's a thing customers do to try and get money off when they see something similar and cheaper, but still want the more expensive item. Story 8. Policies are written by people. Obligatory non-native, not US, but I've been speaking English since I was 8, and on my laptop, so any error is my own doing. Conversation translated to English plus my hazy memory means these were definitely not verbatim. I used to work as an online sales rep, customer support for a national electronics chain store. Half of the job involved dealing with tech-illiterate customers and those who didn't know the difference between a debit card and a credit card. There were quite a few funny stories and a few death threats, but this one kinda stood out for some reason. As per policy, our returned, displayed products were, and to my knowledge still are, sold in store, since the online listing only showed them as scratched or something similar. And because there was no return policy for those products, customers might want to know the exact conditions of the things they're paying for. Plus, it significantly hindered, but not completely stopped, those who claimed the products they bought were already broken before those got to them. One day I was assigned a chat window that happened as followed: me, see customer, or another C word. Thank you for choosing. I am Arceus Patronus. How can I help you today? C, why is there no delivery policy? Alright, straight to the point. That certainly saved me some time. After getting the customer's area and confirming that the product they were interested in was a used product because we got paid by chat window, and if we didn't reach a certain amount of back and forth, we wouldn't get paid for it even if we spent half an hour there. I proceeded to explain to the customer the policy I mentioned above. You can probably guess where I got my title from. See, after I explained everything, but why can't you guys deliver to me? And thinking I somehow didn't explain everything clearly. I apologize, sir, but as I explained above. See, but why can't you deliver? I'm slightly irritated now, but being behind a keyboard tremendously helped masking it. I'm sorry, sir, but it's the company's policy. See, policies are written by people. Now at this point I was beyond annoyed. What did this guy want me to do? Rewrite the policies for him. We literally couldn't even place an online order for second-hand products to get picked up in store. I took a deep breath and reminded myself that being rude or even closing the chat would get me in trouble, since even with death threats, we still needed to make the required amount of back and forth before saying things like, if you don't need further assistance, I will be closing the chat now. Have a nice day. I'm sorry, sir. Is there anything else I can help you with? See, yes. Deliver this product to my house. Oh, is that how you want to play, Kenny? I'm sorry, sir, but I don't have the ability to connect you to those in charge of making policies. See, are you mocking me? I definitely was, and I was phrasing it in a way that was quite clear to anyone who read the conversation. But if you really wanted to, you could argue that it was a genuine apology, and I was just bad at social interactions. I wanted to ask how he managed to mistake someone at the bottom of the hierarchy making minimum wage after bonus for the CEO, but like I said, being outright rude to customers would lead to my immediate termination. I, however, didn't like to lie, so I just ignored the question and tried to give myself an out in case I got in trouble. I'm sorry, sir, but I can only connect you to tech support. Is there anything else I can help you with?